This has got to last for a 9-day trip. It's packing day. Let's go. Hi everyone, Mauser here. On this channel I do travel, hiking, I look at the gear I use and take you on some of my walks and adventures that I head off on through Tasmania and throughout the world. This week we're looking at the gear that we're taking for the Western Arthur Range, a trip I'm heading off in just a week's time with Woolser. Woolser's coming along, we've done this trip before together. It was some 12 years ago, but we're ready, we know what we're doing, and we're going to have a look at the gear. Please like and subscribe below if you're enjoying the video. If you saw the last video, we went through all the food we're taking on this trip on that video. You can check that out down below, link is in the comments below. Today we look at the gear. So on a trip like this, I like to be warm. I don't like the cold. There is nothing worse than being cold at camp, and you've got to pack appropriately. That doesn't mean you need to take a mountain of gear. You just need to take the right gear for the right conditions. Now Tasmania can get very wet. It's renowned for being wet, especially in the southwest where we're going. You can expect torrential rain all year round. Some of the areas of the west coast get 2 meters of rain a year, I think. But anyway, I digress. We're going to start from the ground up, looking at clothing first, then we'll go through the gear. Firstly, socks. Generally, it doesn't matter how long my trip is. If it's anything longer than one night, I will generally take 3 pairs of socks, including the pair I wear. I'm a big fan of the Smart Wool socks. That's what I've got on this trip. I've got some of their hiker socks, I think they're called. I've got my tent socks, which are a bit thinner than the hiking socks. The hiking socks I've got a medium thickness. If I was going winter, I would take something a lot thicker, and I'd probably take an extra pair of socks. So I've got my tent socks there, and then I've got my backup socks if things go pear-shaped and it gets really cold. These are a thicker sock and they're my spare sock. If I get to sort of day 6 or 7, haven't changed socks yet, and I'm feeling pretty crazy, I might put on some fresh socks, which will be nice. Next up, jocks. I don't know how many people talk about the jocks they take on a walk, but what the hell, we're showing everything here today. I've just got a pair of merino jocks here, spare pair plus the pair I'm wearing. That's it, 9 days, 2 pairs of jocks. And again, like the socks, I might change them after 7 or 8 days if I'm feeling extravagant. I always walk in shorts. I do have long pants just in case I need them, but generally, regardless of whether I'll be walking in a pair of shorts, and I love my Patagonia baggies. They're a great short, but they're very similar to the other things you'll buy at places like Macpac, REI, places like that. They're just a lightweight short that dries quickly, and 1 pair for the whole trip. That's all we need. In terms of a t-shirt, I take this Icebreaker 150 zone woolen t-shirt, and that's what I wear every day on the track. Unless it gets really hot, then I do also take a very lightweight Patagonia running shirt that I use for running, funny enough. But this is a great lightweight shirt. I'll wear it to bed at night while I'm on the track too, and it packs down to virtually nothing. With thermals, I've had these Patagonia thermal weight thermals for years. They are great, and I've got tops and bottoms. I've got the zip neck, so if I'm wearing it while I'm walking, which I quite often do on those cooler mornings, I can unzip it to regulate the airflow. Patagonia thermal weight thermals, love them. For when I'm in camp, I have some lightweight Montane Prism pants. They are a great pant that I found. I've got a few different fleece pants and things, but these are the lightest, and the warmth they give you, the warmth to rate ratio, second to none. Can't beat them. They're kind of like a synthetic, shiny material stuff. They are a good pant, good around camp, and they also zip and button at the bottom if you wanted to wear them walking, which I never have. Good pants. And they pack down into a little bag to nothing as well, which is important. Now concentrating on the top layer of warmth, that's generally all the pants I take. The thermal pant, the Montane pant, and a pair of shorts. That's it. On the top layer though, I take much more. I've got my base layer thermal, the thermal weight Patagonia thermal. Then I have a Patagonia zip neck R1, I think it is, Don't know if you can get these anymore. They've replaced them with the Patagonia Air shirt, which I have as well, but this is just a bit lighter and it's got a hood, which I find useful on those really crazy days when we're in really bad weather. I have worn this all day, along with my thermal and along with a jacket, along with my external shell, Gore-Tex. So this one will always come with me every single trip, because in the middle of summer, we have had some crazy conditions. You've seen that on other videos. Check out the link below to the one in the Southern Ranges in particular, where we really copped it, and I had to wear this all day, and that saved my bacon. So, great jumper. One thing that I always don't decide upon taking until the very last minute, when I'm in the car about to hike, will be a vest. This one here is the Arc'teryx Down Cerium LT vest. Just really lightweight. It's only about 130 grams. It's a great vest. It's down, so not the best for the wet conditions of Tasmania, but it's just lightweight, and I'll wear it only in tent and at camp. I won't hike in this because I don't want it to get wet, but just that extra layer of warmth when I'm at camp if it's really cold. I like this, and I reckon this will be coming on the trip, and it packs down to nothing at 130 grams. Why wouldn't I? Next up is probably my most important layer, warming insulating main insulation layer, which is my jacket that I wear in camp. I can also double up and wear this thing on the track if I need to. It's a synthetic insulation garment, and this one is a newer version. It is the Arc'teryx Nuclei jacket. For the last sort of 5 to 10 years though, I have always worn Arc'teryx insulating jackets. I find them good. I find their warmth to weight ratio really good. And this one is a great one. It's lightweight. It's about 330 grams, and it's got a hoodie, good jacket. Sort of will slightly water resistant too. You can wear it under your external shell when it's raining, so it really keeps you warm. And again, it packs down to nothing, which is an important factor for me when I'm packing. Next up is my beanie system. So I take 2 beanies normally. One is a lightweight smart wool beanie. All the links to this stuff will be down below to this gear. Can't remember the name of them all off the top of my head, funnily enough, but this is my smart wool beanie. This is what I wear walking. This is what I wear to bed. This is what I wear when I'm in camp. And if it gets extra cold, because this is a thinner beanie, I do also take this beautiful Montbell chemise beanie, this one here, which I've had for years, and it is still going strong. It is a fantastic beanie, and what I really like about the Montbell chemise fabric is these ear warmers here. They're beautiful on a really cold, windy day. Sticking with the chemise theme, we're getting into gloves. So my glove system that I take, I have adapted over the years. You can look at blogs like thehikinglife.com, Cam Honan, done tens of thousands of miles of hiking. He first put me onto the chemise gloves and beanie, and they're just a nice glove for in camp. I tend to not wear them on the track too much. I don't need to. With my other gloves, I'll show you. And they're just a nice lightweight pair of gloves to put on. I always have them dry in my pack for when I'm at camp and it's getting cold. In Tasmania, you've seen us on these other videos, bashing through scrub, really tough conditions, and we always wear scrub gloves. These are just a pair of garden gloves from your local garden centre. I love these, the Ninja Maxim Grip X. They're a good glove, they last forever. These have done several trips and they're still going strong, and they're only about $6. So that is a great pair of scrub gloves, and they come on every trip. And I also use them just when it's wet and cold and raining, walking on the track. They keep your hands warm as well in the wind. Even when your hands are wet in these, they tend to stay pretty warm. And it's only in those real cold, windy, snowy conditions that I need to bring out these big guns, the Temrez Showa gloves, which are the best gloves I have ever had. These are awesome. I have tried them all. I've tried Gore-Tex gloves. I have tried Montane Prism gloves. I've tried North Face gloves, but these gloves, which I think are made for Antarctica, are light and they are impenetrable in scrub and in rain. I had to buy these in from America online. I had to order them in. They were quite expensive, about $50 or $60. In the scheme of things, compared to Gore-Tex, that is quite cheap. But I've had them for about 5 years and wear them all the time. They are incredible. When you're cold and bitterly cold, your hands are frozen, you can barely move them. You put the Timbers on, and within 5 to 10 minutes you can maneuver them again, you can move your hands, and they thaw out very quickly in the Timbers, even if they're a bit damp inside. So they're great gloves. I recommend getting a pair. We'll try and find a link and leave it below for you. So around camp, I like to wear a pair of shoes. It's nice to have something dry to put your feet in, and the ones I've found are these X-Ped sort of down shoes. They keep your feet pretty dry when you've got to step outside quickly. The base of them has like a rubberized sort of sole, and the water tends not to get in, but if it does, they dry out quick. So good pair of shoes for around camp, and they weigh very little. Next up is my external shell, my rain protection. The most important part of any clothing you take on a trip. It protects you from the elements, protects you from the weather, protects you from the wind, protects you from the snow. And I've had this one since about 2016, 2017, and I've tried a lot of jackets over the years, but this one, the Beta AR from Arc'teryx, couldn't recommend it highly enough in Tasmania. It's a great jacket, and this will be doing another mission on this trip. I've just re-waterproofed it. It is starting to wet through a bit on hikes, but it's what happens when you're in scrub all the time. So I've given it a treatment with re-waterproofing product, and it will be good to go. Will be protected, and I can wear this. I can adjust all the hood. I can do all that stuff. Great jacket. Final shell layer is a critical part of Tasmanian bushwalking. It is your overpants, your waterproof pants, and the last 3 years on these missions, I've had to buy a new pair each year because they have been destroyed by the scrub. My favourite and most comfortable pant was the Arc'teryx Zeta SL pant. It fitted well, it was comfortable, you didn't feel like you had them on, and you didn't feel restriction of movement, but they're just not up to the Tasmanian wilderness. 2 pairs of them destroyed in 2 years, completely destroyed and ripped to shreds. Good way to wreck a pair of $300 pants. I've also got the Arc'teryx Beta AR pants. They're really heavy duty, very tough, made from the same stuff as this, but they're at about 400 grams. They're a bit too heavy for me for this trip. So I wanted something lighter, so we've gone the Patagonia H2 No Torrent Shell pants. They are quite thick and sturdy. I think they'll be up to the task. I think they're good. And we're not really in scrub this time, it's more scrambling and rocks. And we're on tracks, which is nice for a change. After the last few years being scrub bashing and out in the bush, it's going to be nice to be on a track. It is the Western Arthur range, and stuff can still get destroyed there. Next up, cap. This is just a Salomon running cap that I use for running. Again, obviously, it's pretty obvious when you say it's a running cap, but I wear this out in the track. It's very lightweight, it's got good protection. I may or may not take a Patagonia wide brim hat, which I like. I think I probably will. I will decide that on the day. Boots, these. Scarpa Terra boots. About all you want in Tasmania is a pair of these. Leather, they are really hard wearing. This is my second pair of these, and I've been in Scarpas for years. I've tried the Salomons, the 4D GTX something or other, but these ones are making a big comeback this year. They're a solid boot, and I know they're up for the task. And we will get a few more trips out of them yet, that's for sure. Also, another thing that goes in my clothing bag is this little lightweight Cedar Summit air towel. Very small, very lightweight, about 40, well, not even, probably 15 grams I reckon, guessing. We take that just to splash the face and dry off and dry the hands, and you know, luxury. Next, we're into a sleeping bag. Oh, or are we? No, we've moved into a quilt, and this is the Katabic Gear Alsec. It's lightweight, it's about half the weight of my regular sleeping bag, which is a Patagonia, yeah, that's the one. So if it's looking really cold, I will take the Patagonia. Otherwise, the Katabic Gear Alsec, that's coming all the way, all the way. Sleeping mat, you cannot go wrong with the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. This is a regular length. I've got the extra large, but this time we're taking the regular length mat. Save about 150 to 200 grams by not taking the extra long one. I'm 195 centimeters. This will be fine, I think. The advantage of having 4 kids and a wife is that when you go camping you need lots of sleeping mats. Hence I have a good selection of sleeping mats to choose from when I'm going on a long trip. So the Neo Air X-Lite, you can't go wrong. I also take a patch kit in my first aid kit in case this gets a leak. Nothing worse than having a leaking mat while you're on the track. That happened last time. We did the Western Arthur Range and Eastern Arthur Range to Woolser, and we were having to fix his mat out on the track. Luckily we took a kit, it was freezing cold. He fixed it by finding the hole by putting it in hanging lake and looking for air bubbles. Good fun. Moving right along. Navigation. I always take my trusty compass. Haven't had to use it for a little while, but it's always there just in case I need it. That's a Sunto compass. I've had it for years. It's still going strong. We keep that in the pack for every single trip. As well as that, we've got a whistle. You always need a whistle in there too. You never know if you'll need that. In terms of modern navigation, I have a Garmin Inreach Explorer Plus. Been using that thing for years. I love it. It is a great piece of equipment, and that just sits in my pack, turned on all day. I can send track points if I want to my loved ones, and it syncs with my phone, so I can navigate off my phone if I need to, as well as my watch, which I take. The other great thing with this is it's got an SOS functionality. In this range we're going to, we have a bit of phone reception, so it's good for that factor too, that you can use it to raise the alarm if you need to. Speaking of the watch, I take this is a Garmin Fenix 7X XL or something. I upgraded a little while ago, and this is a great watch. It's got solar, it's got navigation. I use it for all my running that I do, and it's just generally a great piece of equipment. And on the track I can navigate with this watch. I can see where I am. I pre-plot all my routes into my watch and my GPS device, and yeah, it's a great piece of equipment that I love. Takes me, it comes on every trip. Navigation still, we've got the map. That's a 1 to 50,000 Tasmap map. I always get them laminated from Geographica, based in Hobart in Tasmania. These are a great map. They've got all the details of where you're going to be. I will probably also take a Tasmania Southwest 1 to 250,000 map, just because I love sitting at camp looking through maps. It's good. Another thing we do take is track notes. Here is the Bible of Southwest Tasmania. This is the John Chapman Southwest Tasmania book. I've been using that book for 25 or so years. It's updated every few years. That's the most recent edition. We take notes from that, both take photos on our phone, so they're in our phone, and I will take printed copies of the specific notes I need, printed onto waterproof paper in my pack. From navigation we move straight on to safety, and that starts with a snake bite kit. You can buy these at hiking stores, you can buy them online. These are a snake bite kit. It's got 2 triangular bandages and 2 compression bandages. They come on every walk that I do. Never had to use it yet. Let's hope we don't have to use it soon. Then we've got our little first aid kit. As a pharmacist in a past life, I take this stuff pretty seriously. So in there I've just got a range of pain relief. I've got blister kits, I've got band-aids, I've got cushioning, I have got a little bit of second skin, that sort of stuff. Any ailment I've had in the past, be it blisters or cuts or abrasions or I have suffered on a trip, everything is accounted for in this first aid kit. It does weigh a bit, it's probably about 500 grams, but there is nothing worse than being miles from anywhere and having bad blisters and not being able to treat them. So I highly recommend taking some equipment. Even if you've done thousands of walks like me, sometimes you can get some blisters. It happened last year. You would have seen that on the video last year. It happened then. Got a couple of blisters on each foot, which is not fun. And we've got these little Band-Aid blister kits, which just worked an absolute charm. So we've got some of them, as well as the Elastoplast blister kit. There's enough in there to keep us going if we get a blister on day 1, which we shouldn't, but if we do, it's there. Next up, toiletries. Again, little bag here with some stuff in it. I've got a bit of sunscreen, little 50-gram tube. I've got toothpaste, a little bit of deodorant, just so I don't stink. That is about it. Also a little mirror in there, so I can wear contact lenses. I just change them over, and I've got a little mirror in there for that. Obviously, in addition to the toiletries, we need to take toilet paper. On the Western Arthur ranges, there are toilets they call Sputniks. You will understand why when you see one in a future video, but they are based at the campsites. If you get caught short on the track, you need the trowel, so that comes. One thing I did forget to mention was with my sleeping equipment, I've got this little pillow. This is a Nemo Philo Elite something. Tiny little pillow, blows up, very comfortable. I like taking a pillow. I know you can just put all your stuff in a stuff sack or whatever, but hey, luxury. And it weighs nothing. On to little luxuries, we'll call them. This is undecided yet, but we may take a tarp if the weather is looking bad. It is nice to have a tarp set up outside. This is a MSR through hiker 100 wing tarp, which comes on a lot of trips. It's pretty light, it's got some pegs in there, and it's easy to set up at camp. Even in windy conditions, it can provide some shelter. We can also set it up at lunchtime if it's really bad. I think we'll probably take it, don't know yet. We'll let you know out on the track, and that's just in the question mark box at the moment. Western Arthur range, you do sometimes need to pack haul. We didn't need to last time, but you still got to take a bit of rope. This is a climbing rope, very thin sort of line to just do pack hauling if we need to, with a carabiner on the end, so we can quickly connect the packs on and off if we need to lower them or lift them along the way through some of those really steep sections of the Western Arthurs. Hopefully not, but that's got to come, essential. One of the luxuries that always comes on every trip with us is our Helinox ground chair. This chair is close to 10 years old, but it is beautiful. It is a great chair. It sets up in seconds. I think my record's about 23 seconds. I take it on every trip. I can set it up at lunch. I can set it up quickly at camp. I can sit there in the morning at camp in the pouring rain, straight after we've packed up camp, put my boots on in a nice comfy chair. I love it. And it sets up quickly. That's quick. That's my record. Next up is cooking. We are taking a Jetboil Mini Mo on this trip. It's a 1 litre pot, 2 of us, it'll be plenty. And we will take 2 canisters for the trip, I think. That would be plenty as well. But they're the 230 gram canister, and I think that's all we'll need is 2 of them. I take my long spoon, Cedar Summit, Mountain Laurel designs, you can get them anywhere. These are pretty common now and super lightweight and great for having those dehydrated meals. The good old Swiss Army knife, the Black Diamond Z something carbon FLZ poles are coming. I don't take poles very often, but when I've got 30 kilometres of plain walking to do at the end of the trip, along flat button grass plains, these will be making a big appearance, as well as on the first day where we've got a few hours along button grass plains, pretty monotonous terrain, but those poles make a big difference. And going up some of those climbs as well, they will be good, so they're coming along. Spare shoelaces, or you can double up by taking just a bit of spare string, but I recommend these. Nothing worse than breaking your boot laces and having nothing to repair them with. Lighting, we've got the Petzl Bindi. Had this for a long time. It's so lightweight, it weighs nothing, it's rechargeable with the battery I take, and it is a good option for just around camp. And you can even walk with this if you needed to, but it's just really light, and a great Petzl torch. I've got lots of Petzls, but this is the one that comes on every trip. I also take a torch just in the tent. It's another luxury, but that you don't need to take, but this is a Goal Zero Lighthouse Micro. That is a good little thing. It hangs in the tent, and it's rechargeable by USB. You can charge your phone off it if you had to, and yeah, it's got the torch there, it's got the lighthouse there, and it's a good option. Great to just have in the tent at night time without having to worry about a head torch. Another luxurious item I take is this Thermarest Neo Air Micro Pump. It's a luxury, but you just plug it into your sleeping mat when you get to camp and pumps it up for you. You can just leave your mat to inflate. Now we're down to the general sort of stuff. Technology, I take a Charmist 23,800 milliamp battery on this trip. That should be enough to charge my phone for 9 days. It should be enough to charge the head torch if I need to. Glasses case, this is just a swimming goggle one I found at a sports store, but I can fit my prescription sunglasses, these glasses in there, as well as a regular pair of glasses. I've got to take all of them, unfortunately. That is what I'll protect them in. I scratched the hell out of my glasses last year on a walk, and I need some protection for them, so that's what we're going with. I've got a drink bottle to mix up my electrolytes in. This weighs nothing. It is a Hydro Pack squeezy drink bottle thing. What's this called? What's this Hydro Pack called? Yeah, the Hydro Pack squeezy drink bottle thing, it is 1 litre and is good. In terms of other drink vessels, we've got the MSR Dromedary Dromlight. Dromlight? Is it Dromlight? Yeah. Dromlight 6 litre bladder. And that sits in the front of my pack. It's got a cap that I carry, but also it's got this hose which I bought separate, and that connects to my pack so I can have a swig while I am walking. It's a great addition. It doesn't mean I need to take an extra bladder, which I used to do. I just take this one bladder, and on those days where water is scarce, I can carry up to 6 litres in this, a litre in the Hydro Pack, and it's good, especially in Tasmania where you get those really dry days where you cannot find water. Here we've got the little Cedar Summit Insul cup, I think it's called. It's nice and light, it's about 45 grams, and I take that for reconstituting my cold soaked lunches, which you saw in the last video that I talked a little bit about. I've got the old empty Gatorade container, screw top lid, it's great. Again, recommended by the Hiking Life's Cam Honan on his blog. He put me onto this when I read a blog post once, and it's a great option. You toss everything in here for your cold soaked lunch, your beans and stuff, and it goes in there, screw the lid up with the water, sits in the pack, at the front of my pack in the front pocket, and it's ready at lunchtime. Finally, we're on to bits of camera gear. We've got, for this trip, the Joby Gorilla Pod 4K or 5K, I think it's called, and that is the lightest tripod I've got. I've taken heavier tripods before, the Peak Designs travel tripod is fantastic. It's what this camera is on right now that you are watching me from. For this trip, I'm just going to go with that. It's lighter, and I don't think I'm going to need a crazy tripod. I want to do as much by hand as possible and not use a tripod unless I'm doing some astrophotography or something like that. We also take my iPhone. That comes on every trip. For navigation, communication, whatever. Then I take a camera very similar to this one. I'm actually recording this video on the camera I am taking, and but it's about the same size as that. It's a Sony A7 IV along with a G Master 16-35mm lens. It's an awesome lens. You're watching me through that now. I love that camera. And I'll also take a couple of the Peter McKinnon VND variable neutral density filters. They will come with me as well as a Sony microphone on top of the camera, which you are listening to me now on. That's the kit that I take with the camera. It weighs about 1.6 kilos all up, the camera, the microphone. Then the VNDs are another couple 100 grams, I guess. But I just love being out there. I love photography, and I'm still learning. I'm not that good, but it's coming along, and I like to take the gear to try and give me the best chance possible to get the best images and videos possible out there. I put the camera in this Hyperlight camera pod, nice and lightweight, straps to the front of the pack, and is a good option if you're carrying a big camera like this. So that comes. In addition to that, we'll also take a GoPro. We'll probably also take an Insta360 X3 for the 360 degree stuff. You can't fly drones here, so that won't be coming, but the Insta360 is a good option instead of a drone. It gives you that aerial sort of perspective and will be a good option on this trip, I think. So we'll take that as well. Finally, a shelter. You've got to take a shelter. And this one, we're taking the Big Agnes Copper Spur HV UL3 Mountain Glow. Good tent. Not as big as our regular Mother Hubba. The MSM Mother Hubba has been a staple in our kit for years. We've been using this for a year. The Big Agnes, it's got integrated little LED lighting, which is nothing to write home about, but it is a good tent for 2 people. We will take that, and it's pretty good in Tasmanian weather conditions. Used it before, and that is what we're taking on this trip. You might have a look at that better in another video later on, but that is the tent we are taking, the Big Agnes Copper Spur HV UL3 with Mountain Glow. Wrapping up, gaiters. You need gaiters in Tasmania, even places like on tracks. I don't tend to use them as much, but we'll still take them anyway. I did a trip a couple of years ago where I forgot my gaiters, and it was all off track, and it was no good. The off track scrub bash, you can watch that down below. That was a crazy trip with no gaiters. Always come. They're the Cedar Summit Quagmire gaiters, made out of canvas, bulletproof. We'll get a couple of years out of these generally in Tasmanian conditions. I recommend them. Gore-Tex gaiters and stuff, don't rate them. They don't last, but these do. Quagmires are about the only gaiters I would ever use. And you've got all your little bags, your stuff sacks, waterproof, Ultrasil stuff sacks. These are all generally Cedar Summit. Lightweight Ultrasil, that's the food bag I use. I'll have 2 or 3 food bags. I will have my, what I call my kit bag. That is I think that's a Mountain Laurel Designs little Dyneema fabric bag. I put my camera bits and pieces in there, stuff I need to access quickly while I'm on the track. Then I will have that bag there for my warm jacket, my thermals, my gloves, my beanie while I'm on the track, easily accessible at the top of the pack. Then I've got a Hyperlight mountain gear pod there. My clothes go in that. I also wrap my clothes in a plastic bag or something just because it is nothing worse than getting stuff wet on the track. This one, the most important bag, apart from the pack, is the pack liner. You can just use a big trash compactor bag, but this is a good Cedar Summit Ultrasil bag. And finally, the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Porter 5400 bag. That is my pack of choice, has been for a few years. It's awesome. It's got the integrated pocket, which is my only complaint, Hyperlight, if you're watching, is these things. On the front pocket, probably overloaded a bit, but they broke. So I've got carabiners and stuff on there, but a top-notch pack that lasts forever, and that will take a big load. We'll fit all this in there, no problems. It's waterproof, roll top closure like that. It's taken a beating, this thing, but it will take some more yet, and it is a good pack. You'll see Walls is out there. He just got a new one on my recommendation again. Then of course we've got all the food there, which you saw in the last video, but that'll all condense right down. You'll see that when we do a packing video sometime. That's the gear we take, that's what we're doing. And yeah, maybe we'll even do a packing session before we go. But until next time, see you on the track.